I am really excited to share this video with you today. If you are looking to homeschool, looking into new curriculum, wanting to change things up and make things exciting and fun and new, stick around because today I'm going to share all the things, all my favorite picks, what I will be choosing for this upcoming year, 2025-2026, for my grade 2 student who also is taking grade 3 subjects. So grade 2, grade 3, stick around. So I say grade 2, grade 3, even maybe grade 1 to 3. These subjects would be suitable. She's a little bit advanced in some of her subjects, and so we're choosing grades 1, 2, and 3 subjects for several of our curriculum picks this coming year. And I'm just going to get right into it, but I have made some big changes. I have a lot of old curriculum for my older daughter, and it could be really easy just to move on into the books that she has passed down to her younger sibling. It would really not cost any money, and I'm already familiar with all of those curriculum, and so that would be the easy choice. But I have noticed, as many of you have, that our children learn differently. Different things are a great fit for them, whether it just excites them, is more fun for them, and just a better learning style fit. And so I have tailored this coming year to a lot of very different things that are new to me that I have never used before, but I am really excited to try these new things. I've researched them a lot. I've talked to people who have used them, and I'm really feeling really excited and good about this upcoming year. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. One of the biggest changes that I am making. Now, I wouldn't say I would change this for all of the students. I would say this is what you all need to do now. And I wouldn't have made this change for my older daughter, but this is what I'm doing for my youngest daughter. So for language arts, we have been on the well-trained mind track for a long time and loved it. It worked very well for us. But this year, we are going to try out something new to us, but very old. It's been around for a long time. And it's called Learning Language Arts Through Literature. Sometimes people call it LATL for short, how we like to have acronyms for everything, LLATL. And it's by the Common Sense Press. This is an all-in-one language arts curriculum where it covers, I've got my notes here, it covers reading, handwriting, writing, including creative writing as well as even writing speeches, spelling, grammar, and literature studies. It's an all-in-one, which in the past I've tried to stay away from, but this one really seems very solid and beefy. So there are readers within the book for the child to continue practicing their reading, but it also has 4 book studies. I have chosen to start with level 3, which would be an equivalent to grade 3. But when I looked at what was involved in the grade 2, even though there might be some new aspects for her, there was a lot of stuff that would have been too easy for her. Level 3 will be challenging, but I think it will be a good challenge and we'll work through it slowly. So for the book studies, we are going to be reading The White Stallion by Elizabeth Shub, Madeline by Ludwig Bellmans, but we all know this book, I just can't pronounce his name. Meet George Washington by Joan Hellbroner. That one I may change because we are Canadian, and I know you Americans love your American history, but it's not as relevant to us, so I may swap that one out. And The Courage of Sarah Noble by Alice Dalgliesh. I'm sorry if I'm butchering those names. So those are the 4 book studies, and they do literature studies all within the one study guide. So there's a teacher's guide and there's the student workbook. The workbook is the workbook pages, spaces to write in answers to questions, to do spelling words, to, all of the writing, handwriting, everything's all in one in a workbook. Now, my only concern is sometimes with all-in-ones, you don't do enough practice on everything on a regular basis. But my feeling from this one is that it does. Now, if I feel that there is not enough practice when it comes to grammar and spelling, I may put back in first language lessons. Level 2 would be where we would be naturally moving this coming year. And it's short. It's about 5 to 10 minutes, closer to the 5-minute marker, and we would do a bit more grammar. I wouldn't do all of first language lessons, but just focusing in on the grammar to make sure that she's solid in that area if it turns out that this curriculum isn't as solid as I would like. In addition to spelling, when we've done all-in-one curriculum before, like The Good and the Beautiful in the past, spelling was not frequent enough. And I think it needs to be something that is done even daily, where our spelling workout book has spelling practice. So you do an introduction, like a pre-test, and then spelling practice every day, and then a spelling test at the end of the week. And that's every single week what you're doing. And then there's a review of all the old words and then moving forward again. So if I find that this one again is not as thorough in the spelling teaching, then I will add in spelling workout, which again is just minutes long to accomplish. So it wouldn't be a lot, but I really love the literature component. I feel that our language arts has been lacking in learning how to do book studies. And it's something that I am really excited about. And I think she will really love, because she does love workbook pages. Next is math. Math is going to change up too, and math is one that I have changed a lot if you look back at my history of all of my videos. I love what we're doing. We have been using Math-U-See, which is a mastery approach to math. If you're not familiar with it, each book focuses on one math topic. So in alpha, it's adding and subtracting up to 10. In beta, it's adding and subtracting multiple digit numbers. And then in gamma, I believe it introduces multiplication. In delta, I believe it introduces division. I could be off a little bit. In epsilon is fractions, and so on. But it focuses on one topic, and they have excellent mastery by the end, not just basic grade 1, grade 2, but from like the beginning all the way to the highest level, the hardest type questions that you could ask in those topics. It offers and teaches them, and they have mastery over that. Now, that doesn't work well if your student might go back to public or traditional school. And there is a chance my daughter will at some point, although I am hoping to be able to hang on to her as long as I can. But my older daughter is going into grade 6 this coming fall, and she will be going to a private Christian school. And I realized that Math-U-See was not preparing her for grade level. She would have gone into grade 6 and be expected to have learned topics that Math-U-See hadn't covered yet. So my fix for this for my younger daughter is, we've been doing IXL for both of my students this past year, which has been excellent. It's an online resource that allows you to practice math. It gives you math questions. There's a little bit of video teaching, and it also has AI where it generates questions that it learns what your student does know and doesn't know, and it gives them questions that are appropriate in those categories, what they're studying for them, as well as testing that actually incrementally. So you may have, what I find is my kids have a spectrum of knowledge in different areas, where she might be in grade 8 level at this subject, but grade 5 in this. And so it's tailoring what they need to know for math according to them using AI. So I really do love IXL, but it's not for specifically teaching. I don't think you could lean on that for your lessons solely. So what I plan to add in this coming year is Saxon math. I've heard a lot. It's old. It's been around forever. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I've said in past videos that Saxon math is not, the best. It's not conceptual. It's I think of the other word. If I remember it, I'll put it down here. But what I've heard about math is that they get lots of math practice. They become very solid in being able to perform questions efficiently, fast. It works really great at their math facts. There's drill sheets where you're timed and have to be able to answer the questions quickly. And I'm looking forward to being able to work on my children with that because they do know math well, but they're not necessarily super fast at it. And it is a higher level where we've been told, I have a friend of ours who goes to a math tutor, and she homeschooled her children up until high school. And she said that Saxon math is really the best math in preparation for university that would require math within their programming. It is a very strong, solid math, and in the high school levels, it's a much better, more solid math curriculum than other curriculum out there. I often said, like, Math UC seems good, but it's not overly challenging, where math curriculums like Singapore Math or Beast Academy are very challenging and hard, more challenging math type questions. Math UC seems a bit more on the basic side. So I like to add in more challenging things, but Saxon math apparently is of the more challenging end and does prepare them very well in a solid, I'm trying to think of, there's conceptual, and I've put the word there already, so I've answered the question for myself. But we are going to add that in. Now, we're going to start her at grade 2. I'm hoping that's the right place to start. But in grade 2, they're already going to be teaching things that we have not covered in the previous Math UC levels. So we are going to do Math UC just to get that mastery in. I excel for a lot of practicing and math games. Saxon is going to become our core, and we'll have some math puzzles and word problems with Singapore Math and Beast Academy. And it's not done every single day, but I will let you know how it goes. I will review this new plan with you as we get into it in September. Okay, for science is another big change. If you look back at my old videos, we've always used Apologia, and this past year we absolutely loved Berean Builders, Science in the Beginning. But for science for my daughter, this year, because I am just teaching her, and a grade 1, 2 student doesn't need deep, rigorous science knowledge. We were trying to do that for a co-op, for a group of students, to make sure they had a solid science foundation. But for my daughter, I just want to make it fun. I want her to want to explore, to investigate, to examine. And so I found a really fun science program that we started using this past third term in this past year, from a company called For the Love of Homeschooling. I'll put a little picture here, and I'll put a link in the bottom in the description below. They have nature studies, science units, geography units, a whole bunch of things, earth sciences, but they are really fun and well put together. There is a teacher's guide, and then there's a workbook for each age level. There's one for littles, junior, senior, expert level. There's games, activities, STEM projects, crafts, lots of things. We did it this past third term in our co-op, and we studied the nervous system, and the kids loved it. It was so much fun, and I could pick and choose activities from the junior, little, senior, expert. With my daughter, I will tailor it just specifically to her interests. This summer, we've already picked up the human anatomy one, and we've got a little doctor's kit from, KiwiCo, and we put together a stethoscope and different organs. And so we're really studying that just for fun for the summer. She loves to play doctor. And in the fall, we would love to do an astronomy, but they've got lots of different kinds. So I haven't chosen the specific ones yet. I will definitely make a video about which specific ones we're choosing and do a review on it. But so far, I love what I have found. It's so fun and user-friendly. I believe you can buy hard copies, but they also have the digital files, which I've downloaded. They're really well made. They're very easy to print out, beautiful, and just really enjoyable to teach, and for the kids, it's just a lot of fun and very educational. And so we're going to use that for science this coming year. For history, so I'm going to lump these all together because they're all coming from the same place. History, geography, artist and composer study, poetry and nature study, and I think even a little bit of handicraft is going to be with outdoors. I made a video about with outdoors. I will link that below. But she created, the maker of with outdoors created, Anne Trost, I believe is her name. She created a Charlotte Mason all-in-one sort of a unit, and it's not referred to as a unit, but it's a history spine that then links in beautifully geography and artist and composer study and poetry and nature study, but it's primarily meant to be a history spine. And we are going to be doing Canada. So we're going to be studying Canadian history as well as Canadian geography. She does map work just the way that Charlotte Mason does, where you would be drawing out, hand drawing maps, noting rivers and all those kinds of topography. We're going to be studying Canadian composers and poets and artists. And we'll be doing there's nature study included. But what I love about it, it is gentle, yet so beautifully done and fun. You're not doing an artist study, composer study, nature study, poetry every single week. It alternates and rotates in a piece of that as you go along, and it's set up for you in a really well-made schedule. And I'm really excited to do this as our all-in-one history, geography, and so forth. So that is what we're doing with outdoors, and I'm super excited. We tested it out in term 2, and we did it for a couple of weeks, but then I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it now. I want to do it all fresh and new with my youngest in September. And so we tested it, we tried a few things out, but now we're going to wait, and it's like waiting to open a present. I can't wait to get started with outdoors in September. Next, for French, we were using, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it, but I'll put a picture here. We were using this French curriculum for term 1 and term 2. It works well. I don't have like high praises for it, but it worked well. It was a solid French curriculum. But we were doing French in our co-op as well, and the French teacher started a new curriculum in our 3rd term that we really liked a lot. We were doing something called l'art de lire, and that was for grades 3 to 8. They have an earlier one that's K to 3 called l'art de dire, which means the art of telling, the art of reading. And then for the older high school grades 9 plus, was called l'art d'écrire, the art of writing, so in French. It is great. I'll link the website of where it comes from below, but we are going to continue on with that. And I really am impressed with it. It's fun. There's some reading stories, story writing, conjugating verbs, a whole bunch of little things, but it's a good solid French curriculum, and the kids enjoyed doing it, work pages. And so we're going to press on with that, and I'm happy with that. For Shakespeare, yes, I love Shakespeare, and we're going to continue doing Shakespeare with my grade 2 student, but we are now going to ease back at her level, and we're going to read through E. Nesbit's Shakespeare's Beautiful Stories for Children. I'll put a picture right here. And I have been creating a sort of study guide to go along with that through AI. I use ChatGPT and Google's AI called Gemini, where I will create different little activities and projects and study guide questions and different ways to kind of interact with the stories. And we're going to read through E. Nesbit's book over this year, and then maybe next year begin to reintroduce Shakespeare's plays again. I'm really excited to do that. I did want to just read E. Nesbit's stories in the first place, but then I felt like I was holding back my older daughter, and it was something we wanted to do as a family, and so we just leapt into Shakespeare, his actual works, And my younger daughter, of course, because she was in grade 1 and even in kindergarten when we started that, she was kind of trailing along, having fun with us, but not fully getting it. So it's time to slow things down a little bit for her grade. And finally, for Bible, I'm going to do something a little different for her as well. I have not heard of this until this past year. A friend of mine has been doing Bible studies for kids through Christian Light Education. They're workbooks, there's a teacher's guide, but they're essentially going through the Bible and they're reading the passages and then answering questions and doing different kind of fill in the blanks. It's just a workbook, but it's just short and sweet, and they're getting the Bible and making sure that they're actually interacting with the passages. And, by having to answer questions and fill in the blanks, they are taking something from it, as opposed to just, me reading the Bible and then moving on. You're more certain that they're getting something from it. There's also quizzes and testing in the later grades. In the early years, they don't have that, but in the later grades, they do have quizzes and tests as well. Now, in the books 1 and book 2, so for grade 1 and grade 2, there are like puzzles and games and, matching and things like that along with it that kind of make it a bit more fun and interactive. Each book doesn't just move from book 1 as Genesis up to the older grades. Each book for each grade go through different parts of the Old and New Testament. So it doesn't just move through things chronologically. Like, for example, in book 1, it does creation. It does from Abraham to Joseph to Mount Sinai, the 10 Commandments to the Gospels, and then the book of Acts. And grade 2 does a bit more in the Old Testament, talking about King David, King Solomon, things like that, and then a little bit of the New Testament as well. So I haven't decided which one I'm going to start on yet, because we have done a lot of creation and Old Testament this past year. So I feel like I would just be repeating all of that again. So I might like to move on, but I'll see which one. But I want it to be age appropriate, because the lessons and workbook pages do get longer and more detailed as the ages get older. But that's all I have for you. I am really excited about this coming year. I feel so refreshed with this new planning that I feel ready to even start now. I know we talk about burnout, needing summer rest, but this has really energized me to get started in some new things with my daughter, and just thinking of the nature walks and hikes and picnics and things that we have planned, because it's going to just be the two of us. And I see lots of homeschooling families, especially here in the YouTube community, that are homeschooling an only child, and it's going to sort of be like that for us. So I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of our journey with you. I thank you so much for watching. Bye.